Welcome to For and Against, the show within a show where we discuss an album released this week, highlighting its virtues as much as its flaws.
And this week we have the pleasure of reviewing the latest albums by one of the busiest women in pop. We are talking about Ariana Grande.
On this album, the 27-year-old has totally ditched the Nickelodeon cute kitty shtick and embraced the wild tigress that roars in the bedroom. And in the name of wonder, idleness and folly, man, this album is randy. I even had to wipe some perspiration moisture from my forehead by the second song.
You see, this is the interesting thing. This is, we'd have to say, a bit of a new step for Ariana Grande, whose last three albums, as Johann mentioned, have been very much marked by tragedy. Obviously, there was the impact of what happened at the Manchester contest. There was Mac Miller. And it seems like with this album, she's trying to do something different, trying to kind of create a new persona. She's 27, she's got a boyfriend, she's happy, and she is having lots of sex. Now, that is great. The only thing I would say is it sometimes sounds a little bit weird, a little bit forced maybe. For example, there's a song called 34 plus 35, which adds up to, tell me, Johann?
69. Oh, that's why she's called it. I couldn't crack the code. It's like 34... All right, 69. Yeah.
And contains the line, "Baby, you might need a seatbelt when I ride it," which doesn't necessarily very erotically charged for me. And this is, I think, there's a lot to recommend in this album, but it just seems a little bit weird, and other times feels a little bit Disney. It's like the sort of Disney new Broadway show in which someone's talking about bonking, quite frankly.
I mean, the ID Magazine review of this album had a headline that read, "This album is horny on main," which I had to look up on Urban Dictionary. Apparently, being horny on main is a slang term for posting or engaging with sexual posts on your social media account rather than a secondary one that you'd usually use for that purpose, right? A way of using this expression, for instance, would be, real men don't wait until 4 a.m. to get horny on main. Right? Another definition says someone who is literally horny all the goddamn time. They might be annoying depending on who you are. An example in phrase would be, Jason's horny on main, dude. It's starting to concern me.
Now, let's talk about the music on this album. As I say, it's got lovely strings. It's got sort of very modern trap kind of things. But what I like most was when it reminded me of kind of perfect 90s soul. It reminded me of Lucy Pearl. It reminded me of those kind of 90s R&B albums, which I think was probably intended. At its best, this album is absolutely brilliant with some really world-beating melodies, lovely production. I, being the boring old man, kind of would like her to do a little bit more of the kind of house music she's doing. I'd really like Mood to Swing to get involved with that. There is a really remarkable show of strength in the songwriting, even if, as some critics have pointed out, it does get a little bit samey at points, I would have to say, and that is maybe my main criticism of this album. It's just a bit too samey. I think we could do something a little bit different at some point. What do you think?
Well, you keep saying these things about these albums we review, about it sounding too samey. I like the whole concept dragging on throughout the whole thing, like with the Flaming Lips one, because I really like this breezy kind of vocal sound that she's gone for. Rather than having such a assorted dish of different pop flavors, she's really gone for that bedroom silk kind of soul, R&B, slow jams. It's the Mariah Carey record that I'm still waiting Mariah Carey to record. Now, careful warning here, parents. As much as I love this album, this record should come with a parental advisory sticker the size of the Serengeti National Park all over it, right? Because you imagine, you're a parent driving your kids to school, or even worse, you're a parent carpooling various kids from a neighborhood to school. And all of a sudden, you're listening to the second song, and it starts playing, and it's got this lyrical content which you're not aware of, right? You think, oh, Ariana Grande, that sweet girl with the cute high ponytail who sang in Broadway musicals and my 3-year-old loves, right? So I've been drinking coffee, and it's like, oh yeah, I've been drinking coffee too. I've been eating healthy, and you think, oh, I've been eating healthy too. My old brand with my yogurt and my quinoa seeds and goji berries and all that stuff. Relatable. I'm well into it. Come on, Ariana, come on, kids, let's sing it with me. And all of a sudden, can you stay up all night? I'm like, oh yes, I can stay up all night. I'm full of energy. Life, come here. And then she's like, fuck me until the daylight. And you're like, What did she just... And you're there with the kids singing about fornicating all night in the backseat. 2 of them aren't even your kids. You're dropping them off at school and their mother's a pain in the ass, fundraising, cookie baking, soccer mommy, Chardonnay swinging, Trump supporting, pain in the ass neighbor who always calls the cops whenever she sees me taking out the garbage because apparently we all look alike. So be warned, parents, be careful when you play this album with your children in the backseat. That's all I wanted to say.
Blimey, well, something similar happened to me. I decided to have a lovely little nap and had a nap and drifted off to the sweet sounds of Ariana Grande, and I woke up to hear talk about, fornicating all night. So I was like, is this a dream? Is this really happening? And it was there. It reminds me a little bit, let me cast your mind back to the EMF days. Do you remember EMF and their debut opus, Schubert Dip?
Yes, I do, and it had that fabulous song, E Ecstasy M... Is that the one?
Yes. You think they're nice pop boys, and then they come up with that real MF bomb.
But they were always bad boys. You could expect a little bit of raunchiness coming from them because they always kind of looked rough. But Ariana Grande, every time you see her, she looks so polite. Even when she's getting a bit saucy and spicy, she does it in a way that's not offensive or not too risque. But all of a sudden, she's singing about really getting dirty here. Really leaving the door open and all these sexual innuendos. And
making neighbours think there's an earthquake.
Making neighbours think...
What is it, 4.5 on the Richter scale?
So as I say, you've just got to watch it. It's like, be careful where you play this album. And by the time you've dropped them kids off and you've wondered, you're hoping, you're begging, please forget, I hope they forget about these lyrics. I hope they don't go back to their parents' house singing the lyrics that I've played to them in their car. By the time that happens, you think, all right, yes, Ariana, I drink coffee, I eat healthy, but damn it, it's been a long time since I've had sex all night like you are boasting about on a song, which makes you sad and depressed and angry, actually. So, yeah.
So, this is called the For and Against. I'm having a difficulty working out where you're coming down because you seem to be you seem to be quite down on it. You're talking about going to being angry. You're talking about driving in the kids to school and everything going wrong, and the neighbours supporting Trump and drinking Chardonnay and problems with the garbage.
It's like whiskey. It's got its inconveniences. If you drink and drive, you're going to be in trouble. But if you drink in the comfort of your home where no one's going to be bothered by your bad behavior, then, whiskey is great. But if you're in a car with an Ariana Grande or a bottle of whiskey, it's not the wisest thing.
So are you going for or against?
I'm totally
this elaborate whiskey metaphor is going nowhere. It's going nowhere. What are you?
COVID pandemic. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Look, basically, please. I am for this album. Ariana Grande, you had my curiosity, but with this album, now you have my complete and full attention.
I'm going to go against. As a father of 2 children and someone who's experienced some of these embarrassing moments, notably Lily Allen singing that song in a Spanish supermarket, which I really wish she hadn't, I'm going to have to go against. There's a lot I like about it, but I don't need to be having these kind of conversations with my children, and I'm going to go against. I'm sorry.
What did you think of Ariana Grande's positions? Please let us know in the comments below and tune in to the weekly review every week on RPS.